K-dramas have a second lead problem, not because the second leads are bad, because they're too good. These are the actresses who took what should have been a supporting role and turned it into the reason people kept watching. Some of these picks are going to start arguments. Let's get into it. 10. Ism. Because this is my first life. There's a specific type of second lead that doesn't get talked about enough. The one who isn't dramatic, isn't villainous, isn't doing anything for your attention. She just walks in and takes it anyway. That's Ism as Woo Soo-ji. The main story in Because This Is My First Life had its charm, a marriage of convenience slow burn, but Soo-ji was operating on a completely different frequency. She was sharp, she was direct, and she was dealing with real workplace sexism in a way the show didn't sugarcoat. Corporate powerhouse, heels that looked like they could double as weapons, zero tolerance for nonsense. What really set her apart was the grounded, almost adult quality of her dynamic with Sang-gu. Their contract relationship had more weight and honesty than the main couple managed in the whole run. Fans on MDL and Reddit weren't subtle about it. They wanted more Soo-ji scenes because she was the only one saying what everyone else was thinking. Actually, she wasn't just saying it, she was living it. While the main lead was being introspective, Soo-ji was out there building a life and a brand. The fact that we never got her full backstory? Still a crime. And if you think that's a case of a strong actress saving a weak character, just wait. Number 9 proves the character can be just as wild as the performance. Kang Han-na. My roommate is a gumiho. She is stuck in what I can only describe as second lead purgatory, and it makes absolutely no sense. In My Roommate is a Gumiho, she played Yang Hae-sun, a former fox who became human, and she was an absolute riot. She had this perfect mix of I've lived for 700 years and I know everything arrogance and genuine, almost childlike confusion about things like how emojis work. That combination shouldn't be this endearing, and yet, every scene she was in, you were waiting to see what she'd do next. Her bickering with the leads was one of the highlights of the show. She was vain, but also weirdly protective, and that contradiction is what made her so hard to look away from. Her romance with Doo-won, the sweet and completely oblivious second male lead, was honestly more charming than the main supernatural drama. There's a scene where she tries very hard to act cool and fails completely, and I've rewatched it more times than I'm willing to admit. She proved you don't need the most screen time to be the character everyone is still talking about when the credits roll. But Kang Han-na at least got a love story. Number 8 took a character who could have been pure comic relief and turned her into one of the most beloved people in the whole show. Crystal Jung, The Heirs. Okay, hear me out. The Heirs is a guilty pleasure drama, and I will stand by that. The main romance had its moments, but it also had a lot of very long, very brooding stares. And then Lee Bona walks in, played by Crystal Jung, and suddenly the whole vibe shifts. She was obsessed with her boyfriend Chan Young, like aggressively, unapologetically obsessed, and her jealousy was played with so much comedic precision that she somehow came out the other side as the most lovable person in the whole cast. Not annoying, not a punchline, actually lovable. Every time the main couple dragged the energy down with another round of melodrama, and that was roughly every 5 minutes, Bona would appear and just save it. Fans still talk about her English scenes, her outfits, her sheer force of personality. Crystal even mentioned using her sister Jessica's actual designer bags for the role, which is so Bona it hurts. While the lead was perpetually in distress, Bona was busy being the CEO of her own chaotic universe. I would have traded a full episode of star-crossed suffering for one episode of Bona and Chan Young just living their lives. But where Crystal Jung stole scenes one by one, number 7 broke the internet in real time. Sol in Ah, Business Proposal. If you haven't seen Business Proposal yet, what are you doing? But also, when you watch it, pay close attention to Sol in Ah as Jin Young-so, because she is doing something special. She wasn't the best friend in the sense of she exists to support the lead, she was a force. She knew exactly what she wanted. She wasn't waiting around for permission to go get it, and her romance with the secretary, Sung-hoon, basically became the second storyline everyone was obsessed with. Remember the bathroom scene, the kiss with absolutely no regard for personal space. We collectively lost our minds. Her chemistry with Kim Se-jung was warm and real, but Sol Ina held her own completely as a character. The fan reaction was so intense that people were unironically calling the second couple the first lead couple of our hearts. She brought humor and warmth to the role in a way that felt so natural. You genuinely forgot that she wasn't the one the show was named after. She walked away from her wealthy family to live in a tiny apartment and didn't ask anyone to feel sorry for her about it. That's a character with a spine, and Sul Ina played every beat of it. And if you think this list is strong already, we're not even in the top 5 yet. Trust me, it gets a different level from here. If you're still here, the top 5 are about to make you question every drama you've ever watched. Don't go anywhere. Lee Sung-kyung, Cheese in the Trap. This pick is a little polarizing. Baek In-ha was a lot. She was loud, she was stylish, and she was, there's no softer word for this, unhinged. Cheese in the Trap had this muted, slow, psychological energy to it, and In-ha walked in like a neon sign someone forgot to turn off. You couldn't ignore her. While the main leads were cycling through the same quiet, brooding misunderstanding for the 4th time, she was somewhere else in the drama causing absolute, glorious chaos. Some fans thought Lee Sung-kyung was overacting. Looking back, she was the only one in the room willing to bring that energy the show actually needed. Beneath all the glitter and the tantrums, In-ha was a deeply lonely character, and the moments where that cracked through hit harder than any of the main couple's scenes. She was someone you couldn't like and couldn't stop watching. But where Lee Sung-kyung gave us chaos with a tragic core, number 5 gave us discipline, and it somehow hit even harder. Kim Ji-won, Descendants of the Sun. We have to talk about the Gu-won couple. Kim Ji-won as First Lieutenant Yoon Myung-ju was nothing short of a masterclass. While the main couple was busy with their medical drama, will they, won't they tension, Myung-ju was fighting for her life and her relationship with a quiet, stoic intensity that was devastating to watch. She was a soldier first. She carried that discipline into her personal life. We have to talk about the Gu-won couple. Kim Ji-won as First Lieutenant Yoon Myung-ju was nothing short of a masterclass. While the main couple was busy with their medical drama, Myung-ju was fighting for her life and her relationship with a quiet, stoic intensity that was devastating to watch. She was a soldier first. She carried that discipline into her personal life, and she didn't ask anyone to rescue her, emotionally or otherwise. She was usually the one doing the rescuing. The scene where she confronts her father about her relationship, I still get chills. Fan surveys at the time showed that viewers were more invested in her story than in the main couples. Kim Ji-won has this rare ability to act almost entirely with her eyes, and every moment of longing and frustration landed without a single word being spoken. The main lead's banter got a little tiring after a while. That's just the truth, but Myung-ju never did. She was the emotional backbone of that show, and most people who watched it know it. Kim Ji-won went on to become one of the biggest names in the industry, and this role is a huge part of why. Number 4 took the concept of scene stealer and turned it into a genre of its own. Lee Da-hee, Search. Lee Da-hee as Scarlett is the definition of a character who was never supposed to be a second lead. She was a tech executive. She was also a semi-professional martial artist with a temper. She ran a major web portal and somehow had time to fall in love with a struggling actor. And the whole thing was written with so much depth that her arc was easily the most compelling part of Search. She was fierce, fiercely loyal, and had this vulnerability she only ever let out for people she actually trusted. That combination is hard to write and even harder to play. What set Scarlett apart was that she didn't fit any of the boxes. Not a villain, not a sidekick, not a foil. She was a protagonist who happened to be in the wrong position in the credits. Most fans agree the 3-woman squad dynamic was the draw of that show. But Scarlett was the one who walked away with every scene she was in. Her fashion alone deserves some kind of award. I kept finding myself more worried about her storyline than the main one, and I didn't even feel bad about it. If you missed this show, go back for her specifically. But number 3 didn't just steal scenes. She made the entire show feel like it was written for her, and she was playing a teenager. Kang Hae-eun, Sky Castle. Sky Castle is an ensemble drama, which means technically everyone is competing. But Kang Hae-eun as Yeso was the breakout of the whole show, and it wasn't close. She played an intensely high-strung, brutally ambitious high schooler. She was terrifying in the best possible way. She was the kind of character you're supposed to hate, and instead the internet became completely obsessed with her. Think Joffrey Baratheon, but with a math workbook and a study schedule. People loved to hate her, and then slowly they just started being impressed. Because here's the thing, Yeso was a product of her environment. The way Kang Hae-eun played that descent, the pressure, the ambition, the way it all curdled into something almost tragic, was haunting. She made the good characters in that show look flat by comparison, the adults included. It's almost disorienting to look at her range when you compare this role to something like Lovely Runner. She's a completely different person. She didn't just outshine the other students in Sky Castle, she walked away with a show full of veteran actors and made it feel like hers. Number 2 is a bit of a cheat, but the performance is so good it would have been wrong to leave her off. Kim Sul-gi. Oh my ghostess. Okay, so the technicality here. Kim Sul-gi as the ghost Sune technically spent much of the drama inhabiting the main lead's body, so calling her a second lead is a stretch. But here's why she's on this list anyway. She was the soul of that show. Park Bo-young was incredible, but it was Kim Sul-gi's original performance as Sune that broke everyone's hearts. She was thirsty, hilarious, chaotic, and ultimately deeply sad. She was a girl who died too young and just wanted to be seen. That's not a plot device, that's a full character. I'll be completely upfront, I was far more invested in Sune finding peace for her death than I was in the main romance. When she finally has to move on, I was a mess, total mess. Fans still talk about Kim Sul-gi as one of the most underrated comedic actresses working in Korean television. She has this quality that makes her feel like your actual best friend, and she somehow made a ghost with boundary issues feel completely relatable. The fact that she made you feel all of that while technically playing a supporting role is the whole point. She's that good. And then there's number 1, the role that turned one actress into a household name in every household in Korea before the show even finished airing. Han So-hee, The World of the Married. This wasn't just outshining the lead. This was a cultural event. Han So-hee as Da-kyung, the mistress, is the kind of performance that shifts the whole conversation around what a second lead even means. She played a role that is usually designed to be hated, and she did it with such a complicated mix of entitlement and insecurity that you couldn't stop watching her. She looked like a literal angel while doing things that were genuinely frustrating to watch. That tension? It's very hard to manufacture. It was all her. The World of the Married broke rating records, and a massive part of that was the specific energy Han So-hee brought to every confrontation scene. She went from relatively unknown to the face of every major brand in Korea, basically overnight. People talked about her, debated her, couldn't look away from her. Fans were obsessed. But here's the thing that gets overlooked. Yes, people noticed how she looked, but what kept them hooked was the acting. She made Da-kyung feel like a real, deeply flawed person, not a cardboard villain the writers needed. I remember sitting there thinking, I'm supposed to be rooting for the wife. I know that, and I still can't look away from this woman. That's the whole game, right there. Han So-hee is the ultimate example of a second lead who didn't just steal the show, she took it home. So, which one of these women do you think deserved way more recognition than she got? Drop it in the comments. And if this list scratched that itch for you, we also did a video on 13 K-drama second lead actors who were way hotter than the main lead, and the guys are just as guilty of stealing the whole show. That one is worth your time.